Wow. Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here. That is an intimidating introduction to follow up. Um, it's weird whenever I hear my introduction read, I kind of laugh to myself because, look at me. I'm just still this punk rock kid and likes totally inappropriate humor and skateboards and is fortunate enough to write books and speak at wonderful events like this. I got to meet some of you as you came in, so it was very nice to meet you, and to the rest of you that I didn't, hello, hi. I can't see all of your pretty faces, but I see these shadowy outlines, and it's kind of interesting. So, in all seriousness, though, thank you very much for coming this morning. I know that 8 a.m. is early, though for probably some of you yogis, this is pretty late. For this guy, it is not. It is early, so I really do appreciate you being here. Thank you, Katie. And Wanderlust for inviting me back. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. As you guys are here, you know how important Wanderlust is, so it is sincerely an honor. So with that said, what I wanted to talk to you guys about this morning is rituals, and in particular morning rituals and the importance of morning rituals. And the reason I wanted to give a talk about that today, and I've never given this talk before. It's literally my first time, so bear with me if I stumble through it. I think I'll do all right. We'll see. Morning rituals are very important to me because, as I will get into shortly, I used to have some very unhealthy morning rituals. However, creating some of the things I'm going to share with you, and not creating, but implementing them into my life, has significantly helped me change my life and begin to live a healthier, much healthier lifestyle in all areas. So we all know what rituals are. Using morning, for example, we get up, we go to the bathroom, we do whatever number of things we do there, and often it's on autopilot because it has become so ritualistic. It's just what we do when we get up. And I know we're all very mindful people here, but if we're being honest, come on. You wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, and you shower, you brush your teeth, and at least for me, I'm often on autopilot and try to be in the moment, but usually I'm not. But again, it's just ritualistic. It is what it is. But staying with the topic of morning rituals, to state the blatantly obvious, morning is such an important time because it's where we begin our day from. And to take even 10 minutes, and what I share with you today could probably even be done in 5 minutes, to be honest with you, and intentionally start our day in a positive way makes such a difference. And I say that from experience, and that's really all I can share with you. I'm not up here as some teacher with all the answers. I'm just some dude who's still very lucky and blessed to be alive, and this is part of the reason why. So that's why I want to share this with you. I'll tell you a little bit about my old morning rituals, which consisted in this is a very brief nutshell because I don't want to make this about me, but just so you have some context around why I find these things so important. I used to wake up, and this was a daily thing for me, not a once in a while, a daily thing. I would wake up in sweats, with panic attacks, the withdrawals kicking in, all because of drinking ungodly amounts of alcohol the night before. I had to chuckle when I came in. I see the bar right there. I'm like, oh, how fitting is that? But that's the thing. It's cool. I can see that today. It's all right, it is what it is. No problem. If I was lucky in the morning, I would have even a little bit of alcohol left just so I could drink it. And I'm talking this is 6, 7, 8 a.m., just to ward off this awfulness that I was experiencing. Most of the time, that wasn't the case. So I would lay in bed until about 9 a.m. Again, it's just panic attacks and just a horrible state of being. Watching the clock, waiting until 9 o'clock hit so I could stumble my way to the nearest package store just to begin the whole process all over again. Now, I say that, but this is not a talk about addiction and recovery. I want to be clear. Addiction has been the greatest source of my own pain and suffering in my life. But all of us that are here are human beings, and in that comes pain and suffering. There's no way around it. So anytime I use the word drugs or alcohol, which I don't know if I will again, but if I do, please just feel free to use that as a light to shine on whatever it is you've struggled with in your own life. Maybe it's a form of trauma or PTSD, maybe your own addictions, shopping, binge watching on television. I mean, then it's a myriad number of things that we can become addicted to and that can affect our lives negatively. So that's just a little, I want to give you a little background before we get into these practices. I also forgot to start my timer, and I'll start it now. And thanks, Katie. Katie's going to give me the thumbs up when my time's running short. So the last thing I did want to say is that I'm going to share 6 things with you that, again, have really helped me in my own life. But what I invite you to do is take, even if 1 or 2 of them resonate and the rest you're like, that doesn't work for me, cool. Take a couple of them, and if you like this idea that I share, just the idea in general of starting this intentional morning practice, go home and incorporate whatever else it is that resonates for you so that you can still do this. I really can't stress enough how life-changing this has been for me. It's not that this alone has what's helped me in my healing process, but this is definitely a big part of it. And again, it's also not something I do every day. To be honest, I didn't do it this morning. I woke up, was in a little bit of a rush, and came over. I did 2 of the 6 things that I'll share with you, but I did not do the full extent of it. So it's just about practice, not perfection. And then the very, 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 very last thing I promise is that I also want to be clear, this is not meant as a substitute for a meditation practice or a yoga practice, but rather a complement to whatever practice you already have in your lives. And again, it could be done in 10, maybe even 5 minutes. So to begin, now I'll actually start talking about the practice. The way it's done, or the way I like to do it, is before I even get out of bed in the morning. First thing when I wake up, and what I recommend doing is sitting up. I used to try to do it laying down, but I find I would often fall asleep as I was going through it, particularly one of the breathing exercises. So I recommend when you wake up, just sit up in your bed if you're able to. If you really have to go to the bathroom, of course, go to the bathroom and then come back. But if you're able, if you're in good shape when you wake up, just sit up. And so this is the order I do them in, but again, it's just because it's what resonates for me. So I'm not saying do these 6 things in this exact order. This is just how I do it. But I strongly encourage you to take it, modify it, and use it in whatever way works and resonates for you. So the first thing that I like to do is, and I've got to be totally honest with you guys, I have to laugh because a lot of this is like positivity and gratitude, and I come from a background of like negativity and, like I said, punk rock and, fuck the system and, just angry. So it's been an interesting journey for me to kind of cross over. And it's not that I'm always positive. I have a good friend here in the audience, Mona, who we have been talking a lot about shadow and light and the balance of the two. And so anyways, this has been a really wonderful thing for me to balance those two. So the first thing you do, or the first thing I do, is I smile for 10 seconds. That was so hard for me to do in the beginning, to just sit there and smile. I felt like a total fraud doing it. I felt very awkward. There's actually a quote I wanted to share, and I wrote it down because I did not want to misquote, but I'm sure a lot of us here are familiar with Zen master and teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Beautiful, beautiful teacher, one of my favorites. But he writes, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. And so that's helped me make some peace with feeling weird when I smile. But smiling for 10 seconds. And there's been a lot of studies done. I've read articles in Psychology Today where it talks about how the act of smiling can benefit your health, your happiness, lower stress, lower blood pressure. I mean, there's just all of these innumerable things. Innumerable, that's probably not even a word. There's many, many things that it is good for. Actually, as I'm saying this, there's this great show called Adam Ruins Everything. I don't know if anyone here has heard of it or not. Yeah, I know it's not super popular, but it's a show where this guy takes all these really sacred things and he ruins them, like things like diamond engagement rings and the history of them. But what he does, and the reason I share that is because as he's sharing the history of that, there's all these really neat links that pop up on the screen. He's like, don't take my word for it. Like, check out this link. and read for yourself the history and where I got this information from. So I'm sitting up here and I'm going to share some benefits, yet I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm not a doctor. So maybe Katie and Wanderlust, I can make it really extra hard for you and we can have like links pop up when this video shares. Maybe not, but anyways, just a thought. So smiling for 10 seconds. And that's one of the two things I did do this morning. And it helped because I did, I'll be honest, I wake up, I've been doing talks, I speak all over, I'm very grateful for that, but it's not that I get nervous, but there's some kind of, anxiety that still comes up a little bit just when you know that you have to go and hold space and be in a room with people. And I found, man, after 10 seconds of smiling, I was feeling better. And then I went on to the second part of the practice, which is called 4-7-8 breath. Is anyone here familiar with 4-7-8 breath? No? I actually learned about it probably a year ago, and I've been using it as much as possible since then. I learned about it actually through a video by someone named Dr. Andrew Weil, which I'm guessing some of you are familiar with him. He's a pretty well-known physician in the holistic community. And it dates back to some kind of yogic tradition. He didn't go into specifics of which one or where it comes from. But it's another form of breathing, and I know all of the yogis in this room have different breath practices already. But this is one where he talks about how if you do it consistently over time, it's going to help your nervous system actually spend more time in a state of calm. Whereas for many of us, our breathing is shallow, we're often in a state of fight or flight, we're under a lot of stress. It's just the state of being for people, and not just in Western culture, in the world. But so this 4-7-8 breath, I can say it's honestly really had some wonderful effects in my life, and that is the other practice I did this morning. So between just smiling and 4-7-8, I was good to go and ready to come over. And then the room wasn't open, and then I got a little stressed again, and then I did some more breathing, and here we are. We're all good. We're here. But the breath, I'll show it to you really quick. The way you do it is you do 4 rounds. You inhale through your nostril for the count of 4, so like 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, etc. Then you hold the breath for a count of 7. This is if you're able to. If this is too long, you start out a little shorter. Just modify it, but you want to get to the point where you can do 4-7-8. So it's a count of 4 through your nostrils. You hold it for 7, and then you exhale for a count of 8. As you're exhaling, you're actually making a swooshing sound. I don't know the whole rhyme or reason behind that, but that's just, you make the swoosh sound. I said, all right, I'll make a swoosh sound. I'll listen to you, Dr. Weil, that's cool. The only other thing he suggests, which he again attributes to the yogic tradition, is placing the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth where it meets your teeth. And again, probably more of you in this room know the reason behind that than I do. But again, all right, Dr. Weil, I'll do it, sure. And it's really, really helped. The only other suggestion is that he says do it twice a day, once in the morning and once at night before you go to bed. You can also use it throughout the day if you're anxious, if you're feeling cravings for something, if you're having, say someone says something to you and you feel like you're going to react. Any kind of mindful breathing can help with that, but I find 4-7-8, that's just become my go-to form of breathing. And during the day, you don't need to do a cycle of 4 if you're just using it in the moment. You can just do one cycle, and even that really helps bring you right down. So if you guys care to join me, we'll do a round or 4 rounds of this, just so you have experience for when you go home. And also, if you want to learn more about it, I would suggest Googling Dr. Weil, W-E-I-L, and then just 4-7-8 breath. And there's like a 25-minute talk just on this alone, which gives you much more information than I can in the scope of 20 minutes where I'm trying to cover a whole bunch of things. But so if you want to do it with me, you're going to inhale again. If you can't do 4-7-8, adjust it to what you can do. But so you start with your mouth closed, and the only time your mouth is open is on the exhale for 8. So on the inhale for 4, go ahead and do it. And then you hold for a count of 7, and this isn't a science, roughly 7. And then an exhale of 8, making a swooshing sound out of your mouth. So I'm trying not to do it too close to the microphone. Apologies about that. But so that's one round. So let's do 3 more. And go at your own pace. All right, and so that's 4, 7, 8 breath. And again, it's suggested to do it in the morning and then before you go to bed. Another great time that I use it is if I'm having trouble sleeping. Say I wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning, I can't fall asleep. I do that, and 9 out of 10 times it helps me go right back to bed. In the video, Dr. Weil also says you can extend it from 4 to 8. So if you feel comfortable with 4 over a matter of a month or so, and you want to extend it to 8 rounds of 4, 7, 8, feel free, go right ahead. So that's the second thing. The third thing is forgiveness, and forgiveness of self. So what I like to do is briefly review the day before. And I just start in the morning and kind of scan through the day up until the time I went to bed. And I think about any way that I may have acted unskillfully, whether it's towards myself or towards another being. And to the best of my ability, because sometimes I am not very good at forgiving myself, maybe some of you can understand and relate to that, but to the best of my ability, I forgive myself for whatever action I may have done, again, unskillfully the day before. And maybe there's nothing. Maybe I was a total saint and I don't need to forgive myself for anything, and that's total bullshit. We all, at some point every day, do something where we could have done it better. So if it was something towards ourselves, like I said, to the best of our ability in that moment, we forgive ourselves. You know, we are compassionate with ourselves. I'm sorry. If it's something we had done to someone else, we go ahead and if it feels right, we make amends with them. When the time is right, hey, I'm sorry I acted this way towards you, etc. So very simple forgiveness. Then after that, gratitude. I like to think of, and again, I know this is all pretty basic stuff, but when you put it together in your morning, it becomes very potent, a real powerful medicine. So gratitude for 3 things. It could be literally anything, just something you're grateful for. The fact that you woke up in a bed and aren't homeless, the fact that you're living in a place where there are not bombs falling around you, the fact that you have food to eat, water to drink, a bathroom to use, whatever the case may be. After gratitude is setting one intention for the day, just one, and something simple. It can be, for me, today in the early stages of recovery, I am not going to drink or use drugs. You know, I will do whatever I need to do. I will call people, I will go to a meeting, I'll do whatever I have to do. I will not drink. Or for others, maybe I will add 5 minutes to my meditation practice or yoga practice, or I will show up for my yoga practice. Or maybe it's, I won't eat sugar today. I mean, just whatever it is, set an intention, something that will benefit you. Maybe it's, I will give myself more self-care. I'll take a bath today. Anything that is simple. Just keep it simple. That's the whole point of all this. Keep it simple. And the very last thing is loving kindness. And this is just the very first part of the loving kindness practice, which is a series of steps. And that, I could give you a whole talk on that. But the way I like to end it is by making the loving kindness aspiration towards myself, which is the beginning of the whole series of loving kindness practice, which I use that also throughout the day, but again, beyond the scope of what we have time for. So the very last thing, what I like to do to end it is I place both hands over my heart center, and I do that just because it is, to me, an act of self-care, an extended act of self-care and self-love. And I mentally make the aspiration, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. And again, may I be safe, may I be happy, May I be healthy. May I live with ease. And you can say that once, twice, you can say it 10 times, however many times you need to say it to really feel it to the best of your ability. I know some days it's a lot easier to feel love for ourselves than others, but again, I promise you, if you really start implementing these things, or again, making it your own, taking whichever ones you like and adding whatever else, 5, 10 minutes every morning, or more mornings than not, it makes a big difference in life. So I know I'm out of time. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Again, I know this is super early. I know we have time for question and answer that we're going to get to in a second. But again, thank you guys. I'm deeply touched to be here with you today. Thank you.